out there. Hopefully my mic is mic'd up. What's going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to another edition of Real Talk for Real Men. On Sunday's edition in the dog days of summer. So let me get it cracking real quick by bringing in my co-host. How you doing, McMac?
I'm good, and you?
Oh, I'm doing all right, doing all right. As I was saying, welcome to the audience for another edition of Real Talk for Real Men, Sunday's edition. You know,
Mhm.
the hot summer edition here in Atlanta,
Yeah,
hot like fire. How you doing this Sunday afternoon?
I'm all right. It is Sunday. Unfortunately, back to the real world tomorrow. Went by so fast.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. In case you guys out there don't know, they have a condition called the Sunday Scaries. This is the new term that they call it, and it's a real condition out there where when we get to Sunday, people are nervous, they're depressed. What's going on, brother Lamar? Appreciate you for popping in. People have this condition where when it get to Sundays, depression sets in, especially when it get to be a late afternoon, because
Mhm.
you realize the weekend is too short. You have to go back to work. People are
Yep.
thinking about their kids and school and work and all the pressures and all those things, and you can't even enjoy your full weekend like you would like to. I see I got my sister in the house. What's up, sis? She's got a couple of things going on in her background, so we're going to mute her for right now. But welcome to the show. We are part of the TFG Media Network. And so if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Find us on YouTube, find us on Facebook, and there's a whole host of shows on TFG Media where you can tune in and get all your content in one place. We have
Mhm.
sports shows, we have political shows, we have real estate shows. You got my show. So find us on TFG Media, and we got you in one place where we can cover everything, all of your needs, and we do it like nobody does it better. So make sure you find us TFG Media and log in, submit, subscribe, support all of the shows, and you can support us collectively and individually. And so we're gonna get it popping today. Here in a second, I'll give maybe another 2 minutes for in case we have a couple of viewers that want to join in, as well as my active participants on the panel. As always, I'd like to welcome anybody that want to be on the show. This is an open forum. So even
Yes.
though we have some regular faces, a lot of times people have a tendency to think that they're not welcome. You have an open invitation. Even if you can't do the whole show, pop in, have some fun with us, especially on these weekend shows where we keep it light. This is just an opportunity for us to kind of convene, catch up with one another, and spend a little time on a Sunday afternoon. What do you say about that, Tasha Mack?
I absolutely agree. There are no right or wrong answers here. No one is going to be looking for you to know everything. It's just to share your opinion, your experience, and it's always nice to have new faces on here and new insight.
Absolutely. We welcome it as always. Here's another familiar face. You might recognize her from the candy shop. This is Candace herself, the one and only. How you doing, Miss Candace?
Oh, I'm doing good. Hi, everybody.
We doing all right, sweetheart. And I got a chance to catch the tail end of Candace show the other night. Beautiful ladies having a classy conversation. So be sure to tune in and find Candace on her own channel at the Candy Shop. She's doing a thing. And so let's see if sis has got a mic situation worked out, the noise situation. How's it going, sis? Okay, she's still having some technical difficulties, it look like. So we're going to actually get started here in a second. Miss Shantae, how you doing, sweetheart? Good to see you. Thank you for being a part of it, joining us as well. And so what are we talking about today? We're going to have some fun. You guys have seen Siskel and Ebert, long time show, and I've actually told you if you're a fan of movies, then you might enjoy this topic today. Vernon said Vernon speaks, wants the link. Okay, let me pop the link in here. So we might actually get a couple more viewers. Hold on, a couple more panel, I should say. But if you like the movies, this might be something that you really enjoy. We're going to talk about some of the popular movies, you know, that we've all seen. Some of them, if you haven't seen, you need to have your black card revoked. And because these are absolutely bona fide classics.
Mhm.
And we're going to have some fun, where, hey, we're going to be able to Sherry, can you hear me?
I always got you that one. You couldn't.
Okay. Sis has got some stuff going on. So anyway, as I said, we're going to talk about some movies. I'm trying to work out some of the kinks here, and I'm sending another link to my brother Kennard, and we're going to talk about it as we always, as it pertains to relationships. So this is not just going to be a simply a movie review thing, but we try to do it where we get something out of it, you know. And so we're going to get cracking here right now. We're going to get started. Let's bring up our first movie. Hopefully, you guys have seen it. So I'll ask the question initially. Did everybody here see Wonder Woman, either the first one or the last one, Wonder Woman 84? Oh, okay. So I get to talk about this movie a little bit. You are aware of the movie itself, Wonder Woman.
Mhm.
Made a hell of a lot of money, part of the Marvel universe. Gal Gadot is the lead character playing Wonder Woman. And of course, the Wonder Woman story from way back. She's an Amazonian. She's a god. Without getting too deep into it, she was introduced as she's one of the strong characters in the Marvel universe. Shantae says she saw them both. Shantae, I'm interested to think real quick. What did you think of those movies? Did you give it a thumb up or a thumb down? Same thing with you, brother Lamar. Because I'm interested to see what you guys thought about the Wonder Woman movie. For the record, they made a shitload of money, just so you know. The first one was so good until they came back and made a second one.
Turn that down a little bit.
Uh, this last one, I'll recognize you on camera, so if you please. So the second one, Wonder Woman 84, um, it brought the Wonder Woman character and it kind of revisited the first story. I'm not gonna go into all the plot and everything. She had a nemesis, of course, they always do. But I want to talk about an opening scene in the Wonder Woman as it pertains to this conversation. Shanti said I didn't like them as much as the others. Um, as the Wonder Woman character opens in Wonder Woman 84, she's some bank robbers are robbing a mall. The year is literally 1984. So if you're not old enough to remember what was going on in the 80s, how they dressed, malls, things like that. So she's fighting these criminals in a mall. And there's a particular scene that speaks to me where as she's coming through the mall, fighting, combating these criminals in this mall, there's a little black girl. So while she's fighting the criminals, she slides her to safety and winks at her. And the little girls is looking in amazement. The message they wanted to convey in this movie is, oh my God, how powerful of a woman you could be. And look at this glorious woman and woman power. And we know that we living in the Me Too era. So I wanted to ask a question, even if you haven't seen the movie. What do you think is the impact of an iconic role like this on young girls, both black and white? What do you think is the impact of young black girls and young white girls being able to see a female lead? She is the hero. It's her movie. What do you think is the impact of that on young girls? And I'm glad I got two women on here. And I'm bringing in Brother Kennard as well. So, ladies, even if you know you haven't seen the movie, what do you think is the impact of young girls being able to see an iconic role where the woman is the lead and she's fighting crime and she is equivalent, in case you don't know the story of superheroes, Wonder Woman is an Amazonian. She's equivalent of Batman and Superman, Aquaman. She's the shit. What do y'all think?
Well, for me, I'll say this: I'm old enough to know about the TV show Wonder Woman, and it didn't
Okay.
have any impact on me. From the TV show, I didn't identify with her as a white woman, and I mean, it didn't do anything for me in regards to superheroes. And then I guess my
Oh,
my generation, the only other lady superhero that I knew about was Storm from the other movies. I forgot the name.
X-Men,
X-Men
X-Men.
movies. Yeah. So I mean, I thought that was cool, but yeah, Wonder Woman I never identified with.
Wow. Quick question before I leave. It didn't with you. What do you think is the impact, though, for young girls today? Do you think it's making an impact, especially for young African American girls?
No, I don't think it's making an impact for young African American girls. And the movie itself, like the reviews for the movie, I heard weren't good anyway. So I really just don't think it's making an impact. But that's just my opinion.
I got you. Sherry and Kennard and Tasha, I want to see as well.
I
Shantae says representation matters for real. What do you think, Sherry?
I seen the movie and I actually liked it.
Okay.
And I really liked that movie. And it didn't matter whether she was white, black, or green. To me, I liked the fact that she was a woman leading this whole little town or whatever, because I feel like women of any color can lead a group of people like that. You know what I'm saying? So I loved it actually.
Wow. Both of them, Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 84?
Yeah,
Okay. Sherry gives it
I
thumbs
liked it.
up.
Hmm.
Shantae says she feels the same with Captain Marvel, which, in case you don't know, is another superhero. She said you get to see that women can be superheroes. And in case you know, Captain Marvel is stronger than all of them. She literally is the strongest superhero if you into that kind of thing. Tasha, what do you say?
Okay, let me just say this. I understand what they're trying to do as far as the new generation, the new era, as far as putting it out there and that women can be superheroes. However, for me, and I don't care what anybody else thinks, this is only my opinion. I don't think, for me, I don't think a woman can be a superhero. I don't
Woo.
care what anybody says. That is, I it makes no sense to me. You can't reasonably make me believe a woman is going to be able to save mankind in that sense. I didn't see Captain Marvel. I did recently see Black Widow, and I thought it was the dumbest thing in the whole world. I did. I thought it was a very stupid, silly movie. The storyline was very silly. I get what they're trying to do. They want to empower young girls and everything, but again, I guess I have to remind myself, number one, if I was a young child, that would not encourage me to make me think that I can be out there saving the world. Number one, but also, there's a reason why it's based off of a cartoon. So
Okay. Wow, what a hot take. Kennard, my brother, get in here. What do you think about Wonder Woman? And Shantae and Candace has brought up a couple of more. Captain Marvel, Storm. But in Wonder Woman in particular, what do you think about its impact? And I know you guys have daughters.
Yeah, I've never seen. I didn't get the opportunity to see Wonder Woman. I'm just not a real big movie watcher like that.
Okay.
I probably will be able to relate to some of the movies that you will probably bring on later in the show.
Absolutely.
But I do understand the public perception and impact that a movie like Wonder Woman can have, because now versus back in, say, even 30 years ago, women weren't asked to be in powerful positions on any level, not to a high level. So I do think, just like boys are able to see superheroes like He-Man and Superman and all this other stuff that makes them feel like they can be powerful one day. I think in a roundabout kind of way, it's nothing, sinister in having a character like Wonder Woman. And, traditionalist roles will have equally opposite opinions on it, but I don't see nothing wrong with it.
Well said. Well said. I'm going to go back to a comment that Shantae made because I have to start here. She said, representation matters for real. Shantae, I agree with you 1,000%. So I can't disagree on that part because fundamentally, we all want to see ourselves represented on any medium, whether it's movies, music, whatever. That absolutely does matter, and we'll see that even further when we get to the movie Black Panther that's coming up, folks. But having said that, now I tend to lean a lot more towards what Tasha says, and that's because now I'm a chauvinist. Just so you know, I'm an admitted chauvinist. I like my women demure and as victims. Shoot me. So it's very rare that I've seen a woman on screen, for me, and I'm a big movie buff, pull off that role. There's only been a couple of times that to me it's been done very well. Now, unlike Tasha, I really enjoyed Black Widow. I think she did a fantastic job, partly because she's very sexy in the little leather outfit she wears. I'm watching that part, and so hey, she had me. She had me when she first did a little split. But okay, let's get back to Wonder Woman. I've never been a fan of Wonder Woman. For me, and a lot of it may be because of who they chose as the character. Gal Gadot is from the Fast and Furious movies, so to make a skinny white, flat-butted, flat-chested woman
She's
a
not white.
superhero.
She's Israeli. She's from
Okay,
Israel. It's
where
the
you want to?
difference. It's
I'm not
Israeli.
here to dissect all her different dialects. She falls into the category of a white woman. So a skinny, flat-butted, flat-chested white woman sliding around on her knees in the mall with a rope fighting crime just doesn't do it for me. You know, so that just didn't do anything for me. Is that will it have a positive impact on young girls? It probably will. You know, I would imagine that for young girls, again, to Shantae's point, seeing themselves represented that the lead character is a woman, I could imagine that would have some type of positive impact. I'm sure when holidays came, they wanted the Wonder Woman doll, and I'm sure and when Halloween they dressed up her as her and things like that. Now, whether it impacted African American girls, probably not. Probably not. So that's where I think, they may have dropped the ball. And in that open scene, I thought it was very strategic that they had the little black girl in the mall looking wide-eyed and all amazed, because I think that was a nice attempt for it to be a girl, and she was a minority, and for it to make some kind of impact there that make it inclusive. But overall, now I hated both Wonder Woman movies. Again, I think the whole character based on Wonder Woman it never made sense to me. Even I'm 53 years old. Back when it was on TV, I loved me some Linda Carter, but I was a teenage boy. So at that time, a white woman in her drawers with her titties popping out of her this, pretty much did it for me back then. So that's what I liked about Wonder Woman back then. Even Shantae says, yeah, that opening scene backfired for me. So you had to see it. And so, Shantae, I was lost right from there. I was like, oh my God. Then it just got sillier and sillier for me. So I couldn't get into it. So that's my take. All right, we're going to move on to movie number 2. Now, this one, if you haven't seen, you have to have your black card revoked. Love and Basketball. Now, everybody has seen Love and Basketball, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've probably seen this movie, oh my God, 20 times or whatever. Now, of course, this is Sanaa Lathan, Omar Epps, beautifully done. This is probably easily one of the top 10 movies in black film culture. Certainly one of the top date movies. They meet as kids. Their passion and love for basketball is there from the very beginning, that she's a girl and she knows ball. They both go off to college. They both end up playing college ball. Initially, he's a star and she isn't. And as they dated, and they have all these complications in the background between their family dynamics, because he looks up to his father as this God figure, and ultimately finds out that his father is a serial cheater, and everything he feels, completely devastated about the fact that everything he taught him about being a man, he's questioning now. And the apex of the movie is that at the very moment where he needs her the most, because he's dealing with the crisis of his family, she's all about basketball, because now where he has already on the Lakers, his trajectory is going down, hers is rising. And so it's a kind of a boy girl timing kind of thing. So that's what I want to talk about. The timing in relationships. Tasha, I'm gonna start with you on this one. What do you think about when you think about Love and Basketball, and how crucial timing is in relationships with people?
This movie right here, I really, really like it. I remember when it came out, I was in high school. I think I was like freshman, sophomore, somewhere in there, something in there. But you know, initially when you watch it, like when you're younger, you don't really, a lot of things get lost on you, and then you watch it as an adult and you pick up on a lot more. It's funny because in that, where they never were just quite right at the same time, it just seems like, dang, like y'all just a little bit there, y'all just need to like get it together. But it's so true in relationships. You know, sometimes you can try to force yourself to be with someone, you can try to force a relationship, and it's just not the right time. But you're so desperate for it, you may cling to it past the expiration date, and then when you ultimately let it go, you think that that's it. Some people never go back. Some people say, if it's meant to be, they'll come back to me. But it is definitely something that we see a lot in relationships, and it's I think it can be unhealthy in a lot of ways. It can be very problematic and pretty toxic, especially in the sense of if one is expecting the other one to put their life on hold to
Good
be
point.
within in that time frame. So
Good point.
it's a lot there. And you know, as we go through these movies, if you haven't seen them in a long time, or you know, like again, you saw them back then, watch them again and think about them and now, and how it really like how it resonates with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Candace, for you, how did this? What the impact did this have for you in terms of the time, the importance of timing in a relationship?
Um, I would say it was somewhat important. With their specific situation, she was better than me because I probably would not have gone back to him. Um, but
Why? Oh, why not? Why not? What did he do wrong?
he was very selfish, and he ended up he got engaged to Tyra Banks in the movie. He wanted her to drop like everything for him, like with his basketball career and all that. And so I mean, I, yeah, it
Okay.
just taught me to think about me. I'll say
Oh, oh, good point. Good point. Very, very good point. Very good point. Shantae agrees with you. Shantae said Quincy was all about Quincy. You
He
know,
was.
Sherry and Kennard, what do you think? You agree with that? That he was more selfish and things of that nature. What do you guys say? Uh, what do you say, Kennard? Sherry's wait picking up. She's coming in.
I will say this, looking back on it, was absolutely selfish in this part. But when you think about it from a young man, especially like during it was a transition. The late 90s, 2000s, men were still groomed.
Your voice, we losing some good stuff, Kennard. Your voice is going in and out, man.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but it was skipping.
Okay, so let me go back. All right, so during the mid to late 90s on into the 2000s, the I need a man agenda was really being pushed in a way. I think what was happening was during this last part, when we started to transition to being more independent. And the byproduct of this, was her name Monica on the
Yeah.
Monica started to see, well, I'm very talented in basketball. At the time, that trumped being in a relationship, being up under a guy all the time, and really want to actually pursue something. And this was a shot for Quincy, because his mother was all about his father, and that his father, man,
We're losing bits and pieces, and you killing it, man. Something with your mic is you're killing it, but we losing it.
Hold on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So he saw, he was right in the middle of a transition to where this woman is not like that. They want to do that.
We missing all the good parts, man.
That sucks.
I know, because I want the audience to hear, because I love where you're going with this, but it's going in and out.
Okay, is it still going in and out?
Not right now.
Man, I hope it don't go out again, because I'm not saying this shit no more. But either way, I'll go ahead and sum it up. I won't be long-winded because I think that's why I think the internet is saying.
Wow. Okay.
But no. Seriously, I think what happened was there was a transition of where Quincy was like he didn't understand why Monica was behaving, and that's why because he found somebody that in Tyra Banks who catered to his every move. Whatever kind of music you like, you want me to rub your feet, you want me to do all that, and Monica wasn't about all that. And then Quincy found out that woman was really wanted, so that's why he wound up easing back around to her.
Good point. Very good points. Very good point. Sherry, what you got to add?
I mean, I agree with what everybody said. It was worth fighting for. You know what I'm saying, for her, and he realized that he better get hold of this woman because she got more going. She had more love for him than what he thought. You know what I mean? Because he was being selfish, like Candace said. But Candace, I agree. I wouldn't. I don't know if I would have waited for him.
Okay. My takeaway when it comes to this was they were young. These were college kids, and it highlighted to me the mistakes and decisions we make at that age. They're based on something different than when you get older, because if you get to the end of the movie, when at this stage they're more of adults. She's been overseas playing ball at this point, and she discovered that even as she was hitting the highs of her passion, something was missing. Something was still missing, and there was this person that up until that point they had shared everything together. And then for him, as a man, sometimes we make decisions that aren't always what we really want, but it's because it's what's there. It's what's in front of us. And so when I looked at the fact that the famous final scene where she said, "I'm gonna play you for your heart," I thought that spoke to the whole point of when you talk about timing. And it's amazing how we as men sometimes we settle, believe it or not. Believe it or not, we settle because the person we might want is not available, but we're not going to wait. And so we choose somebody else, and maybe somewhere deep down in the recesses of our heart and mind, we know that there was somebody we really had a bigger connection to, but maybe they wasn't available at the time, and we didn't wait it out. And so, like Mahogany said, Shanti said, Mahogany all over again. Man, one of those classic black movies, Mahogany. Absolutely. So it made, for me, it highlighted how that when we make these big life decisions, especially when we're young. I got married at 21. I'm not saying I didn't love my wife. I can promise you, sitting here, tell you that. But I wish I had waited. Now, that probably wouldn't have meant it was going to be her, but my decisions I made based on being a 21-year-old versus what I would have made at 30 years old would have been very, very different. Very, very different. What's up, Brenton? How you doing, my brother? And so, Candace, you had a point you want to add in there?
Well, I just had a question. Throughout the movie, they were equals. Like when you look at it, they were equally good at basketball. They both got scholarships to the same school, but it was like the movie was made at a time where gender roles were changing. Correct. And so I just always wondered, like, why was she always asked to sacrifice her career when they were actually equal? So, and then why did he want her when he got injured? That's what it looked like to me. Like once he,
I saw it different. I saw it differently. I saw it differently.
Yeah, I just feel like once he couldn't play basketball anymore, now he wants her.
See, I saw something completely different, Candace. Number one, he actually had hit the big. They were equal up to a point, but he got drafted. He was an actual Laker. So she didn't hit this was right before they created the WNBA. Yeah. So that wasn't available to her, number one. That's why she had to play overseas, but he had become a Laker. Now, I think once he got injured, I don't feel like he wanted her then because of that. He already had Tyra Banks, whatever her name was, character at this point. And I think for him at that point, he had settled into the fact that, I'm an injured pro player. I'm going to get married. I'll go off and live my life. She approached him. because this is what I loved about the movie. Had she not approached him, he would have gone forward in all likelihood and married somebody that he wasn't truly in love with. And so how many times do we see people get in relationships or marry the person when they really not in love with them? But there's an old saying, if you can't have the one you love, everybody finish that. You love the one you with, you know. And she told him, you're about to make the biggest mistake of your life. Now, I view her as a savior in this sense, but yeah, you know, so that was the case right there. So, all right, we're going to move on to another classic. Well, let me see. I got another quick comment. Shantae says, he was still an ass till the end. He played her and won, let us wallow in the defeat, then was like, oh, by the way, I feel the same. Shantae, you got to get in that little dig at her because she woke this man up out of his sleep. And Shantae, he uttered my favorite line of the movie, Shantae. He says, you think the sun rises and sets on your ass. She has some selfishness in her too. Yeah, that's my favorite line. When she woke him up, he said, you don't do this to somebody right before they get ready to get married. He said, you think the sun rises and sets on your ass, but it don't. Quincy was my man. I love me some Quincy. Yes, I do. That was my man. Let's go to another favorite. Boys in the Hood. Oh, man. The star power in this movie itself is just off the charts. From Lawrence Fishburne to Angela Bassett, Ice Cube, first major acting role. What's the guy who Cuba Gooding Jr. and what's the dark-skinned guy y'all love so much?
Morris Chestnut.
Morris Chestnut, Mr. Chocolate himself. You know, you have a whole host of other actors in this movie, but this was an absolute classic. You know, obviously a boys coming of age story, but from the hood perspective. So here it is, Trey, Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character. Small, smart aleck ass kid, like we all were. I'm sure me and Kennard can relate to that part. You know, especially if you're growing up in the hood, you got to be tough-minded, getting smart and getting in trouble. And his mom is raising him as by herself. She makes the decision. You know what? I'm gonna send you to go live with your dad because I've had enough. You've broken our agreements enough time, and I'm gonna put you in your dad's hand. You want to be there? You go there on the weekends anyway. Dad, here's your son. You've been asking for him. Here's your son. Now you raise him. You do what obviously I can't do. What does this say to you guys? Especially, I got 3 ladies on this one about fatherhood, and then we'll talk about friendships as well. But what did you ladies think about this in terms of what it said about fatherhood? I'm curious.
For me, it said fatherhood is important. I mean, it was something. My oldest son is, of course, not by Kennard. That was something we discussed when he was young. I was going to send my son with his father when he was 12, because I still feel like there are some things that I can't teach him. And at that time, I didn't know whether or not I was going to get married again or anything like that. Right. So to me, fatherhood is important. A boy needs to learn how to be a man, and I can't teach him how to be a man. So that was what that scene showed me.
Okay, I love that comment. Now you do know that comment is not necessarily agreed with, especially now, because you have a lot of people feel exact opposite. Shantae says it was showed a good co-parenting relationship. Anybody else? What did it speak to you about in terms of fatherhood? Because Shantae brought up a good aspect about co-parenting. Anybody?
I agree with Candace, because I always have this saying, brother, that you can't teach a boy how to be a man because you ain't a man as a woman. But I liked it, the movie, because it showed his father being in his life and being a good father. He had more structure than his friends that didn't have fathers around and different things of that nature. Even though his friend that got killed, he was going to make it to go to college and everything, but he used to go to and talk to his father. So basically, it's like the Godfather was being a father figure for him also. And if you notice, being that he was being a father figure to him, he was making it out the hood. So
Brilliant point.
I liked that part.
Brilliant point, sis. Brilliant point there. Okay, Tasha or Kennard?
Go ahead.
Okay, I would just say, like I agree with Candace and Sherry, and I would just like to add that I like the fact that his father was a positive, educated influence. That's a big thing too that I think got lost on a lot of movies created during that time, and how much influence that his father did have, not only on his friends and those immediately, but also to the entire neighborhood. I think to the scene where he takes them there to the corner lot and he's sitting there and he's explaining all this and they're having an actual open conversation. It was a big, look into what was going on in California, the different neighborhoods and at that time, and really just like a real reflection, and that this is the reality of what a lot of people go through. You're either you're gonna make it out by any means necessary. It may not be positive, it may not be good, but you're gonna hurt. You're gonna have some war wounds coming out, but you got to come out.
I love it. I love it. Shante, you're spot on. Serious was dropping knowledge all throughout the movie from the very first scene when he was, telling him the rules of the house. To Jerry's point about that structure that is missing in so many households. And Tasha, to your point, he went into a neighborhood and they were terrified because he's giving them this lesson now where the hustlers and it was right standing, they were right there. They was literally right there where he dropping knowledge in front of them. You know what I'm saying? What do you say, Kennard?
I thought the best case scenario of the positive influence of the father. I think in a lot of cases, he literally saved his son's life on a lot of occasions in this movie. My favorite part of the movie, because I felt like
we can't hear anything. Yeah, we can't hear anything.
Hello?
Yeah, we missed you. What was your favorite part of the movie?
There was a scene on this movie where
we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
When you first start and then you start talking, we're missing your part, man.
It's kind of broken.
Yeah.
Oh man, that sucked.
Now, when you just said that part came clear.
We heard that.
All right.
Kennard said, "Oh man, that sucked." You can hear that part, right, Kennard?
So no, we can't. Yeah, we can't hear.
Why don't you just come up here, Kennard? Like I don't know. Sit down there.
Yeah,
I like. Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, hopefully Kennard will join us up there, but because we can't hear. And I know he said some good parts, but I love where he was going with it. He literally saved his life on more than one occasion in different ways. From when Trey first comes to live with him, he says to him as a little boy, he says, "Trey, you might think my rules are too tough right now." He says, "But watch how they turn out." And literally right on cue, his friends go in and they steal, and Doughboy gets caught, and that's his life of crime. And he doesn't get out until he's a teenager. Furious takes the gun out of his hand. Go ahead, Kennard. Okay.
All right. So, like I was saying, one of my favorite parts of the movie was, and it showed like the power of the voice. It shows the power of the influence. Trey was about to do something real stupid. He had grabbed a gun. He had got upset. He was doing all this other stuff, and he was about to go out the door. And Furious was cool at first. He was like, "Trey, hey, calm down. Give me the gun. Give me the gun. Give me the gun. Whatever." Yes. But one of the most powerful parts of the movie, and you could hear it in style. I think it was great acting. You could hear it in his voice. He said, "Give me the motherfucking gun, Trey."
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
To really look. This is serious. Like right now, you about to do something real stupid. Now, I'm not discounting a mother in this, but I don't know if a mother would have been able to have the
Wow.
same
Wow.
impact at that
Wow.
moment. He
Good
saved his
point.
son's life. And I'm
Good
not
point.
saying a mother couldn't do it.
Right.
I think Furious pulled it off a little bit different than, and that's where the power of a father comes in at times. Because every now and then I can see it in my children. Sometimes they respond a little differently to my voice when I'm really
Absolutely.
serious. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I will say this. I've really enjoyed being on the show. I'm sorry my little technical stuff has happened, but I'll definitely do all I can to be on the next one. Really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, my brother. Thank
Yep.
you. Dropping that knowledge. I want to comment on, go back to a point that Shantae made about the co-parenting situation, because I think that also gets overlooked in this movie as well. Although she does recognize that there's things that her son needs to learn from his father, a man. Let's not forget the scene when they in the restaurant together, and she lays her level of truth down to him. She says, I give you credit. You took your son. She said, most men wouldn't do it. I give you that. But she utters one of the baddest lines in the movie. She said, but don't think you're special. She said, you're cute, but you ain't special. And what I love about that line and how it applies to today's parenting, how many times, ladies in particular, do we see where a woman who has primary custody and she says to the father, can you keep your kids?
All the time.
All the time. And arguing with the baby daddy, can you keep your, think about what she's asking him. Can you keep your kids?
Well, see, I always had a problem with that because you ain't keeping your kids. You got your kids with you. I hate when people talk about babysit don't kids. That's their problem.
It's just as much his responsibility as her responsibility. Oh, and how many times, ladies, have you seen guys who are fathers and they get on social media, whatnot, and they say, I took my son to get a haircut and I just bought him school clothes and look at what I've done. Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
Pretty much.
You know? So why do you want to be celebrated for what your actual role and responsibility actually is?
For
and
the bare
so,
minimum.
and you're doing the bare minimum at that, so I don't want to discount her role. I mean, Lawrence Fishburne, like Kennard said, the bass in his voice, that was a nice, I wasn't even looking at it that way. And he brought up a brilliant point that as men, sometimes we have to be aware of just how we talk to our sons and the impact that has when to know that we're serious. But I don't want to discount the role of the mother because, again, she didn't go away. Even in the movie, it wasn't like she gave Trey away and he never seen her. She also continued to be highly successful. Even her point of giving them away was until I can get us to a better way of life, I can move out of this neighborhood and blah, blah, blah. And in fact, she wanted him to move back with her. If you look at the movie, what the thing was, he got old enough and they had that discussion where he says, Reva, he old enough, he can choose for himself. And that was that conversation. But it wasn't like his mother didn't want him back. You know what I'm saying? She always kept a strong relationship with her son. So that's another valuable lesson of this movie, And Shantae, she said, now sit down and finish your tea. And guess what? He sat his ass down because he knew she was right. He knew she was right. So, so fellas, even if you don't live in a home, you still have a major responsibility. And it has to be about that child that you created together. And to Shantae's point, co-parenting has to be at the core of what's best for the child. And I wish we could see that more often. All right. We come into one of my favorite movies of all time. The Exorcist. The greatest horror movie of all time in my book. If you rank horror movies, Exorcist is always going to be in the top 3 movies of all time. Always go look up any list. The Exorcist. This
Mhm.
movie was made in 1977. It was based off of a true story. Well, a lot of people don't know the true story. The child that was possessed was actually a little boy. It wasn't a girl. And I'm telling you this for a reason. It was based off of a real exorcist of a little boy and a priest. And we all know the story. I mean, even if you haven't seen this whole movie, the entire movie, the vomit scene is probably one of the most famous scenes in the history of movies, where the
Mhm.
priest throws up, and it's just beautifully done. And for it to be made in 1977, people don't know this. The movie initially wasn't as successful. It became like a cult favorite thing. And it got to the point where when people were leaving the audience, when they went to see it live, it literally damaged people. I mean, psychologically for real. But this movie has withstood the test of time. They actually have a college course about the exorcist and all of the underlying things in it. But I want to point out something, not the obvious, about the battle with the devil and all this stuff. Did you guys know that the college course that's being taught? Somebody's got their TV on. Can you turn that down a little bit? Is that a TV?
That's Tony. You're talking too loud. You see, he's don't understand.
Okay. Okay. So sorry. Yeah, I don't want to tell him I'll be in his own home, but he's bleeding through my moment here. Okay. So I want to talk about the underlying causes that do you know at its core, the true horror in The Exorcist was about a case of pedophile. In fact, what's missed in the movie is that when the first true tragedy, what was the guy doing in her room? Remember, Reagan was sick
Mhm.
and she was up in her bedroom. The mother was having a dinner party downstairs. And what did that there was an argument between one of her close friends, movie friends, and the butler guy in the house because he hated the guy because he was a racist. Go back and
Mhm.
watch the movie. He was a racist against the guy because he was German. And so the question that gets overlooked is what was a grown man doing in a 12-year-old girl's bedroom at night? What was he doing up there?
There's no good reason why he was up there. Let's just be clear. He wasn't up to no good. He wasn't, cleaning anything. That's for sure.
And what gets lost is that from the moment she gets possessed, it possesses her and she becomes sexual. She takes the cross and she's jabbing herself in her private part and screaming, F me, F me. And she takes her mother's face and, you know,
Mhm.
and even the devil, the things that the devil is talking about, it's an all-out attack on a young girl's innocence. And that is why they made the decision for it to be, they knew that it would have a greater impact at that time if it was happening to a young girl, not a boy. Not a boy. What lessons can we take from this?
Oof. That's loaded right there because it's a lot going on there. Like you said, just the sexual relationship, where they don't outright state it. Again, it's the 70s. They don't outright state, molestation, but also just the incestuous relationship that I think is interesting that they even kind of present it in that way. But by presenting a young girl sexually in that way, it's a lot. It's a lot. Because correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't the church have a lot to say about the movie as well? About
Correct.
wanting it out there,
Correct.
not wanting it out there. It was a big
Correct.
debate with the church as well.
Correct. They did not want this movie made. The Catholic Church was absolutely against this movie, and just know this is the conversations that's being had in college classrooms about those same things.
Because
There's
you
a
could even now with the all of the conspiracy theories that go on with Hollywood and the occult and the different worshiping and the different sacrifices that they make. It was that like the beginning of it, with that movie. Was that the beginning of those rituals that they supposedly partake in? Were they just dangling it in our face at that time and just say you just have no idea what's about to come?
Tasha, you highlight a point that's being discussed in college campuses. This was the first time that the molestation that in the connection to the church, the curtain was pulled back, so to speak. And so go back to 1977 and think about the esteem that the Catholic Church was held at and where we are now. And that also tells you why they changed it from a boy
to a girl.
To a girl. Think about the implications there of they made a decision of, because it really happened to a little boy. They made a decision about to make it a little girl, but in Friedrich, the director, in his wisdom, he planted all these little sexual innuendos that was pointing the finger at the church. Think about when they found the desecration of the statue of Mary in the church. When Father Marin, where the statue had the breast and was bleeding, he left you all of these little signs implicating the church as being guilty.
You know, in that movie in itself, you know, like a lot of things that they did, maybe it's just the, you know, the southern in me, and you know, just maybe that's what it is. But it makes me think, did they, because of everything that happened on set, there was a lot of incidents, you know, it really scared the, you know, the crew and everything. A lot of weird things happened, and I think someone died on the set or something.
Yep.
It was a lot going on.
Yep.
It makes me think, did they do something inadvertently to where it really did open a portal almost, you know?
That's what a lot of people
really
speculate.
Invite a demon, you know, there.
You know, okay, that you say that. I'm not going to go for religion here, but anybody who knows their Bible, 2 Corinthians 4 talks about the angel of light keeps transforming himself into an angel of mercy so the glorious good news of the Christ won't shine through. See, the greatest trick they say that the devil plays is that he makes people think that he doesn't exist. That's the greatest trick the devil plays, is that if he can make you think he's not real. So here comes this movie opening the door to exposing the devil. To Shantae's point, they don't like any movie dealing with exorcism. And she brings up the exorcism of Emily Rose. And if you've seen that movie, that was the defense in that movie. Her defending the priest was that the defense, the entire defense hinged on, if you will say you believe in God, then you have to believe in the devil. That was the defense in that movie. Because we're quick to say we know God exists, but there's always this gray area about what the devil actually is. Is it just the inherent badness of man? Is it really some evil force? Or is it some cartoon red character with horns and a fork and things and that's why I joke about that. So it does open the door on a lot of different issues. And in this particular movie, it talked about something in 1977 that we really see playing out big time now in 2021. Tasha, wasn't you telling me recently about a pedophilia ring that's happening right? I know it's happening here in Georgia.
Yeah, it was one that had just gotten busted up, like in Texas, I want to say. It was like 38 kids, like human trafficking.
And they didn't report it. And they didn't report it.
Never made the news.
You know, nobody talks about this. And so predators have become even more widespread. We don't talk about this, but they haven't gone away. But I will say this on a personal level for you moms with children, and I know Sherry and Candace, I want you to speak to this because you have daughters. What is your view on the interaction you allow men with your daughter? And even this is an interesting one. At what point, even with the father, does there start to be a little bit of a separation?
Well, you know me, brother. I told you, when my daughter turned 9, I stopped her from sitting on her father's lap. Because not that I thought he would do anything to her, but I had to show her that I didn't want her sitting on any man's lap. You understand? So people used to, you know, criticize me for that. But it didn't matter to me because I had to protect my daughter, and I seen a lot of things that people do that I'm just not comfortable with. When I have my daughter, I don't even brothers like you. I never left Cherish with you alone. I don't do things like that. Not that I think you would do anything to my daughter. I know you love your niece, but you don't put girls in predicaments like that. I'm sure you can, what I'm saying, would agree with that, Candace, because it's like you just don't know people. Because I know people that have had uncles and stuff around coming in and out, mothers leaving them, and they have molested them. You understand? And then they scare them up. You understand? And they don't expect this from a family member. So you know what I'm saying? So I've been real. I'm really really funny even to this day. And my daughter is 32. You understand? About daughters. You know what I'm saying? And I was going. That's why when Kennard was on, I was going to ask him, is it different? Raising a son and a daughter. But I can ask you. You understand? Because I never raised a son. I used to think, brother, that I have asked mama, but I like other people's opinion too. Is it different, or is it easier raising a son to a daughter or something like that? But these days,
Candace can speak to that.
yeah. But these days, and I'm gonna let Candace go. These days, you can't trust a boy either.
They're molesting boys and girls. But Candace, what do you say?
Yeah, I agree definitely with Sherry. And for raising a boy and a girl, it's the same. I protect my children from adults, period. And that's men and women. So with my
Thank you for saying that, Candace. Thank you for saying that, because we tend to only think of predators as men. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I'm very protective, but I agree with Sherry with the whole my daughter sitting in laps and even their father's laps. I'm kind of wanting my 4-year-old to stop sitting in my husband's lap now, because I don't want her feeling comfortable to sit in any man's lap. I don't. I hate that I see the worst in people, but we live in a time where you cannot trust people at all. So I'm very protective of my children.
Look,
that's right.
I'm gonna applaud you because I would rather a parent err on the side of caution, because once that innocence is taken, you can't put that genie back in the bottle. And if I had only known, and I wish I could do this and that, I'd rather you err on the side of caution. As an uncle, I have many nieces and nephews. Not only thank God that they didn't leave with, and I have no predilection whatsoever for no child. You cannot leave your child with me. I've always, even with friends, you cannot leave. I'm a person like this. Not only am I a person where you can't leave me with your child, there's never going to be a circumstance where you can just leave me with your child alone, no little child like that. You can't even really leave me with your wife. If I'm visiting you and you're going somewhere, hey, buddy, I'll go to the store with you. No, you can stay here, Black. No, I'm riding with you. I'm just the kind of person that I don't want to be in a situation where even the appearance that something could happen, and that's why I've always, I would never visit another man's home when he's not at home. If I'm coming to visit, and I'm coming, because I don't do pop-ins anyway. But let's say I knock on the door, ring the doorbell, and the woman says, well, he's not here yet. Either I'm going to wait in my car or I'll be back. It's just the right thing to do. But again, even with children, parents err on the side of caution. And I love what you said, Candace. Pedophiles, they're not only priests anymore.
Yeah.
And they're not only uncles. They're women too. They can come in all shapes and sizes. Cousins, nieces, nephews, be careful out there. I'll say that. Mm-hmm. Tasha, I'm going to give you the floor on this one. Tasha brought this one to the table. I don't know how many of you have seen the movie Eve's Bayou. Candace have. Tasha, bring us up to speed on what this movie was about.
So it follows a young girl and her family over the course of a summer in Louisiana. Journey Smollett is the young girl. And it really brings to the forefront an incident that happens that really shows and reveals that her family and the whole facade of how the affluent family that they are, the cracks in the foundation, and it pits her mother, because of the situation that occurred, it pits her mother against the older sister, and she's stuck. Journey herself, she's stuck in the middle of everything, being the middle child, where her mother dotes on her younger brother. Her father appears to be grooming her older sister, and she's stuck bonding with her, eccentric aunt, and the things that goes on there. And really, for this one, the family secrets, the generational curses, especially with the history of the land that they're on, her name, her being the namesake of her great grandmother, and the gift that is passed down through the different generations. It's loaded. I'll say that.
Very, very much so. This movie has the cerebral nature of this movie. It went over a lot of people's heads because it's got a lot going on. And I love how you laid it out, Tasha. You're talking about the impact of a middle child, her relationship with her father, the relationship with the father, with the older daughter, all of these secrets that the family have that they're trying to protect. Now, I can speak to this coming from a large family, and I'll get into my take in a little bit. But what do you guys think about the impact of the dynamics of all these family secrets and how they play out in later years and affect us all? What do you think about that?
I think it's very detrimental to your family and just you as a person to keep all these secrets. I think Tyler Perry has said it. Like, we have to stop keeping secrets and start healing from things. And so to me, it's very detrimental. I especially with the Black community, we tend to keep a lot of secrets in regards to our family. So
yes, we do. Yeah. Why do you think we do that? Why do you, I'm glad that you said that. Why do you think in Black families we keep so many secrets? We bury the bones so deep. Why?
But to me, it goes back to slavery. We were taught to, once we were free, not to even talk about that. While we were in captivity, we were oftentimes raped. Men were taught to be inferior to their women because of seeing their women raped. So it's like all this embarrassment, everything that you've gone through psychologically, you develop a pattern of just not talking about it at all. And it makes you feel more normal to not talk about it. If it's out of sight, out of mind, it's all good. So I think it goes back to
very good point. I agree with you.
And you grow up in households being told what goes on in this house stays in this house.
Woo!
You understand?
Woo!
So that right there makes you, climb
Woo!
a shell. You understand? But I love that movie too. It was a powerful movie. You understand? Because the middle child, as Tasha said, I don't know. It was just weird. Like, was she falling in love with her father? Because the way she was kissing him. And it's just, that's why certain things you just, all of the sitting on laps and stuff, like I said, listen, I watch everything with my daughter.
I almost felt, not to cut you off, I almost felt like the older daughter kissed her father because she thought that was what was going to keep him home. Because she probably knew, just like the Journey Smollett knew about his affairs, she probably knew too. And she thought that this would probably keep him. And she probably felt, my mama ain't doing it. They argue all the time. So let me see if I can do it. That's how I'd interpreted it.
I'm glad you brought that up because, number one, kids know way more than we give them credit for. And then how many times, especially in African-American households, where the kid is exposed to things that they really shouldn't be involved in and see. I think about the movie Precious, for example, how mothers and daughters compete with each other for that man's attention. And it's very sad that we still see that. We literally still see that, to where we have households where the daughter when you see it, it's uncomfortable. When you see the nature of it, sometimes of how daughters walk around in front of their fathers, and I know that's your child, but the little booty shorts and the whatnot and everything. To me, I'm a man, so you're all ladies here. thank God I've never been in this situation, but to me, I would be uncomfortable when you get to a point where you get a certain age. I know you're at home, baby. Put on some clothes. It's there's a level of modesty, even though you're my daughter, that that you don't walk around because just thinking, oh, I ain't paying attention to her. That's my niece. Oh, that's my daughter or whatever. That's my cousin. I'm sitting here telling you, I've slept with cousins. It happens. And to you guys' points, you wipe all of this under the rug. You don't talk about this. Sherry's right. You grow up being told that what happens in this family stays in this family. And so you got all these doors that's closed up, and it plays out as you get older over time. And I'm not going to bust my own personal family out, but I can tell you this. If y'all want to play some family secrets game, I could shock the shit out you. Of some shit that in my own personal family, I can play. Sherry laughing because we can play that game if y'all want to. That we normal on the outside for the most part. We got some secrets.
Can I
Sure.
say this? What I find interesting also about this movie. First off, Megan Good was 16 in this movie when it was shot. And that scene right there alone took 14 takes to do. So
I didn't know that.
It is. It's very interesting. Like she in an interview like years later, she did say it took like 14 times for it to take. But the storyline is very interesting because how she presents it as if her father kissed her. But really, the truth was she kissed her father in that way. And I think that is very important because it's those guidelines, those boundaries in parent relationships with their children. When you try to elevate your child to a level, a past child, as if they're grown, as if they have some say so, because it appeared to me throughout the whole movie she was trying to protect her father from her mother for whatever reason, even though it was her father who was stepping out. But also, I find it very interesting that in here, it's really revealed, how as kids, you view your parents as like heroes, that they can do no wrong. You can really see the fallacy in the parents and see that they're just human. They make mistakes all the time, and it can really, truly affect the family dynamic, especially in this. And then like with the whole aunt thing, because she was cursed through the family curse from years back from the great grandmother. I think that's how many greats. I don't know. She was cursed in that way by each man that she fell in love with died. They all died. Anyone who fell in love with her would die.
Right. Right.
But it was very eye-opening. It is something that we still see nowadays.
Yep.
And talking about it, getting it out there, breaking those curses, because it appears that, like the aunt's curse finally was broken by the man that she met like later on. But it's definitely loaded. And again, with this movie, being released, in 97, I think, if you watch it now versus when it came out, you'll see a lot that's like, oh, okay, I missed that. I overlooked that.
Right.
I didn't listen to that. So
great points. And I like that last one. I hope that this show makes you go back and rewatch some of these movies now, and you pull the curtain back like, wow, like you said, I didn't see that first few 10 times, but now I see it a different way, because we're at different places. Fantastic.
Yeah, and one other thing what's going on right now, you see the thing in Haiti with all these people, that's there, that in that movie. Stay away from that voodoo shit. That type of shit, you get more than what you're bargaining for, and that's why I think that things happen over there in Louisiana and Haiti so much, because there's so much wickedness going on with that kind of foolishness that God, he tears it down. People need to learn that's just no good to dig into. The little girl, she didn't probably know what she was doing, but the lady knew, and she let her go for with it, and that's how her father died. Pretty much, she killed him. You know what I mean? And I don't know. That was a deep movie. I liked it. Mhm.
Well, she planted the. I found it interesting. She planted the seed of doubt in the man's head by bringing it to his attention. Like, your wife be at home late. She's not really the type to be alone. My
Yeah,
daddy, he be out late. He ain't the
yeah.
type to be alone. And you're not there. Have a good day. So I can understand why she felt like she killed her, why it was her fault. But at the same time, as a child, it was way more going on than you could really imagine, that you could fathom.
Yeah.
Very, very good points. I'll say this last part before I move on to the next movie, don't sis. Once you bring any religious aspect into it and you say that God may punish that kind of foolishness,
Mhm.
to me, you open the door to all religion.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest with you, because as
Ain't nobody
Americans,
living right.
that's where I'm going with this. As Americans, it might be easier for us to sit in judgment of a religion we don't practice and understand. And I'm not saying it's right, and I, from my own upbringing, what I think of voodoo, but they don't see it in the same light. They view Christianity in the way we view, voodoo. You know what I'm saying? Like for many people around the world, us praying and worshiping a white face, Jesus Christ, which is the representation of Christendom, for some people, they might think that's foolish. Islam. So you have to be careful, I think, sometimes, when you start bringing that. I love your point, and I feel you, but woo, that's a loaded one because
Mhm.
once you start introducing religion in there, we can probably go through and nitpick so many different things on any religion. Jehovah's Witnesses are under attack right now, the governing body, because they talk about our role of disfellowshipping and how we're not protecting children. Now, whether that's true or not, that's the perception. The Catholic Church has its issues with molesting little boys and protecting the priests. If you're a Baptist, all the different sects amongst that. Let's talk about the homosexuality in the church. Let's talk about sleeping with the deacons and the pastors. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
In Islam, let's talk about how one God can have as many earths as he wants to, and the requirements that's placed on women as opposed to men. We can go on and on and on. Be careful. Be careful when you step on that door. Be careful. I'll say. All right, let's get to another top probably 5 movie in black households for certainly top 3 with love movies. Let's talk about Love Jones. Love Jones with what's her name? Nia Long and what's my boy Lorenz Tate, the two leads in the movie. And oh my God, the journey that they have, finding each other, losing each other, finding each other, and the romantic overtones. Women everywhere around the world were swooning from the little poetic thing that he said in the movie. This was right at the height of neo soul. I think this movie might have birthed Jill Scott and Erica Badu and NDRE. They came along right behind this joint when he put it out there. We got to see love at a different intellectual level when this movie came out.
Toxic.
So, what you say, Tasha?
Toxic.
Tell us what you mean by that.
Let's just start with this. And it gets glossed over a lot. But how he slick stalked this girl, how he got her address, how you just pop up at somebody's house, but also on her part, how you just gonna invite some stranger into your house after he showed up and you never gave him your number, you only gave him your first name, but he got your address. Like that right there is already like your red flag in 2021. Your red flags would have been going off. Let's just be clear. So that's a little toxic. But I will say this: like even thinking about it, I think fooled around and fell in love is the best thing there because it's kind of what it was. where you both were not really sure that you wanted to be in a relationship. You call yourself, you both were just fucking around. We were just playing. And then, then she decides that I'm gonna say this. I think it was the dick. I think it was just the sex that got good, and they both found out that they got hooked on it. He was trying to downplay it. She didn't want to really fully admit that she had found somebody, even though she wasn't looking. She wasn't fully satisfied based off of how her relationship ended with him. But it is a common story that we see all the time now. You don't know what you want to do. You just want to just leave it open ended. And then boom, now you're in love. Now you're mad because he messed with somebody because you didn't want to say what it was and you didn't have no boundaries. And now look at you running around here crazy. And now you're mad because he's sleeping with this one, you sleeping with that one, you messing with this friend, you messing with that one. It is just some mess. But we
really, Tasha, you read that.
Hey, see? Yes, she did.
Oh,
That's
shit.
a hell of a breakdown of that movie. That's the thing.
Ain't nothing else to say behind that. Drop the mic. For real, because that's it.
I can't top that, but I'm gonna add my little parts to this part. One of my favorite scenes in that movie when he did stay to spend the night as a man, the angst and oh my God, I'm searching for the words here. The sexual tension between them was palpable, and it was captured so brilliantly with him sleeping on the couch and her upstairs. And now, so let me tell you what I took from that movie, and it taught me quite a bit. I remember watching that movie, and a lesson for me I took away from it, and I used it to my benefit. It ain't just men who want it.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, as women, y'all do a way better job hiding it than we do because we're so obvious. But I love that movie in the sense that they both fiending now. He downstairs, blue balls and all. You know he want to get it, and she playing it cool as a cucumber. But upstairs got a pillow between her legs, just burning up. And those is the long. And I've been in that situation before, where you stand with somebody you're attracted to for whatever reason. And I've been in a situation where I've been in the same bed with the woman, and you were told ain't nothing gonna happen. And I wish I had more men. Kid is laughing, cause as women, y'all might have even instigated this shit. It's a cruel thing to do to a man. It's a very cruel thing to do to a man. Tasha does this now. Hey, y'all don't even know. Tasha does this right now. That old friendship shit. You can spend the night. You can even sleep in the same bed, but ain't nothing gonna happen. You ain't getting no draws.
But I'm honest
That's
about
cruel.
it.
Okay, fellas. Oh, I wish I had men on this show right now. That's a cruel thing to do. But I've been in that situation because those are the longest nights ever.
You could get up at any time and get the hell out.
Not right.
Not
right. It's not right. It's not fair. So that's why I, as a man, I learned I can't sleep in the same bed with you. If I'm attracted to you, I would rather be like him. Let me sleep on the couch. Let me just take my mind off it because those are the longest nights in the world. And women, y'all are cruel when y'all do this, putting a man in that situation, even though you might want it to. Tasha, that's cruel.
It's not cruel because again, if in this case, like in the general with this whole movie, I would say people got to be more honest, be more intentional, be more upfront about what you're looking for. Like, don't hide it.
I love that.
In this particular scenario, if I tell you that before you come over here and you still make a conscious decision to drive yourself over here and you think my mind is going to change in like 15 or 20 minutes, no, it's not. I'm telling you now. I'm telling you what it is. You decided to come over here.
But you let him in. You let him in. And you let him sleep in the bed with you.
Yeah.
So, Tasha, I'm an alcoholic. You're going to just sit out and start drinking all these different brands of liquor right in front of me, and you know I'm struggling with alcoholism.
Hey, I can't stop you from trying to grab it, but I'm telling you, I'm not sharing.
See, See, that's wrong. See, that's cruel and it's wrong. What you say, Candace?
No, I agree with Tasha. Like 100%.
Duh. It's cruel. You teasing and you setting all this shit in motion, but the guy's supposed to be the one to exhibit this ultimate level of willpower.
Wow, I'm not all up on you, so you ain't got to be all up on me. I'm not even asking you to cuddle with me. I'm not asking you to feel on me. I'm not asking you to do nothing. You can lay there, we can have a conversation, you can go to sleep, but I'm not teasing you by any stretch of the imagination.
Technically, you're right. And this is why I implore to my male viewers, you're not watching now. If you go back and watch this video, listen to this. I'm going to say this to my brothers if you ain't never heard this before. They got a powerful thing between their legs. We got a powerful weapon too. Use it wisely, my brothers. They want it just as bad as you do. And guess what? You should come out there, especially my brothers. If you physically fit and got a decent body, I can't do this no more. Come out the shower on her ass, butt naked and stretch. Waggle your dick around. Sit on the bed and lotion yourself down. Take you another shower, brothers. Waggle yourself around and prop your leg. Sweetheart, can I use your lotion? Lotion yourself down with your dick just hanging. You know what I'm saying? Lotion your muscles and self down, and then pull a cover up and turn your back on her. Two can play that game. I'm just gonna say, brothers.
Yeah, but that's a dangerous game because I guarantee you'll give in before I do.
You might be right, but I can't fight that. I you win on that one. I gotta say, fellas, do your thing. All right, let's move on to the best man. We've all seen and again, the star power in this movie was phenomenal. From Nia Long to Trey Diggs and Terrence Howard, and who else was in this movie? Morris Chestnut was in this movie as well. Some of the other actors and actresses not as well known, but solid movie. I think they got 3 of them now. Is it 3 of them? I know they did a part 2.
Yeah, just 2. I think.
Just 2. Okay. Yeah, 2. Okay. Then you know what? They're making a 3rd. Then I read they're coming out with another one. But great movie. Great situational drama, comedy, whatever you want to call it. And this one, in case you don't know, it's about secrets and friendship. You know, Trey Diggs has wrote a book. He's based this book on real life characters, real life friends. He's changed the name. But the book falls into he's come in town for the weekend for his best friend getting married, wedding. Best friends, Morris Chestnut. He's a rich ball player, I should say, marrying his childhood sweetheart. And there's a lot of little secrets and dynamics to this story because being best friends all in college, all the dirt that your boy has done. Mm-hmm. All of his dirt he's done being his boy, but he's caught in a unique situation because although all the dirt your boy has done, you also were close friends with his fiance. Mm-hmm. And so you watched her go through this, and now you two share a secret night of passion too that you never talked about. And this is the part for me. You put it in the book. My questions to this is, what made you put it in the book? Which raises my question to you, the panel. Do y'all believe that everything that's done in the dark comes to the light?
No. I don't.
Depending on how many people know.
Yeah.
Okay. Explain. Sherry, you said no. I'm gonna start with you. You said no. Why?
No, because people don't only let people know what they want them to know. And things don't just come out all the time like that. It depends on what like Candace said, what's the situation? And then everything ain't made to tell, to be honest with you.
I agree. No, I'm agreeing with that in principle, but you don't think that just on GP alone, the concept behind that is what you do in the dark is gonna come to the light. That's what we're told.
This
Well,
Go ahead, Candace. Go ahead, Candace.
in this particular movie, he was just an idiot for putting
I
it.
agree.
Like I'm not understanding the premise behind that, other than him being a narcissist and thinking that, hey, I got
Ooh,
away with sleeping with his woman.
ooh,
Let me put it in this book, and it could have been an underlying jealousy there.
ooh,
Mhm.
ooh. You onto something. Be- You're asking the right question. What would make you put the even if you hadn't visited, they're your best friends. It was gonna come out, even though you changed the characters. You they would know based on how you wrote them. Oh, he's talking about her. He's talking about him. So you bring up a good point. Was it narcissistic and was it jealousy? Very, very good point. Tasha, what you saying?
You know, for this story, it is interesting that he would choose to tell it, and it wasn't even something that was crucial or critical to the storyline. It was a nice little caveat, but it wasn't critical. So it is something that could have stayed between you and that person and could have remained a secret, which is why I said, depending on how many people know the secret. So, like,
Okay.
if anything, if it's only one person, then, if it's just you, okay, that's your secret. You're going to take it with you. You ain't never got to tell anybody. But if there's someone else involved and you are close enough to this person to where you like, we can never tell this, then it should die between the two of you, never coming forward. So that's why I said it depends on the amount of people who know. Of course, the more that know, yeah, it'll get told. It's going to come to the forefront. But I even question his relationship. Was that even really truly your friend? Number one, for you to do what you did,
Mm.
I don't care what the situation is. I don't care how horny you may have been, how tempted you may have been, how much consoling she needed. Why, as a friend, would you put yourself in such a position?
Ooh, that's hard, Tasha. That's
It
hard.
is hard,
You raise good questions.
but why can't you have more self control, more respect for your friend and yourself?
It's not. I'm answering this as a man. It's not always that. It's not as black as white as that. We're only men. Number one. Now I'm
Mm-mm.
not going. No, no, hold on. I'm not using as excuse that she tripped and fell on me. So I'm not. I'm not. I'm not going there. But I am once again. These are college kids when it happened.
Mhm.
They're not at their most mature. Um, a lot's going on. Um, was substances involved? And again, as a friend sitting on the sideline, here's the mistake a lot of times people make, and this is what the lesson I want people to take from this. When you have a male female friendship, and as a woman, sometimes as the male friend, we're privy to you telling us everything that the guy's doing wrong. It's a unique position to be in sometime that I'm watching you get dogged out. Johnny Gill's one of my favorite songs. He talks about that. It's 5 o'clock in the morning and you still ain't made it home. I'm not trying to be no home wrecker now, but I don't want to see you hurt. As a male friend, sometimes I've been privy to knowing all of the stuff your husband has done, your boyfriend has done. I'm the shoulder you come cry on. You come to my door and you've spent the night in my home many times because he hurt me so bad. It's a horrible situation to be in sometime because believe it or not, one thing can lead to another. You hope it don't. It's not intentional. I tell my own story of how I cheated on my girlfriend. You might y'all look at me and I'm sorry, you can judge me if you want to. It was not the original intention to sleep with her best friend. That was never in the plan. That was never in the plan. It promised you it was not. But literally one thing led to another. And I said to you guys, I'm just a man. The very first night I woke up that morning, she was in my bed. Now, her intentions might have been, and I literally said to her, "Well, what are you doing here? This, because again, it's your best friend." So, whoa, sweetheart. Now, I jokingly, looking back on it, maybe I should have been more forceful. I said, "I'm just a man. I said, now don't, sweetheart, don't find yourself back in my bed again. I'm just a man. I still had no intention. Night 2, that's when maybe, to your point, Tasha, I should use my willpower. But in that moment, my girlfriend's not here. Now she came in. Now, what I should have done in retrospect is stopped her at the door, but I didn't. I still wasn't thinking I'm going to knock her down. But she came in, sat on the bed. We even went to sleep. Now, our problem was you wake up in the middle of the night and Willie want to play. That was the problem. Just reaching over now and I'm rubbing on some ass. Then it all went left from there. Go ahead, Candace.
Yeah, one thing that stuck out to me about the movie, even watching it back then, Taye Diggs, the way they described the Mia character, they put her on a pedestal. Taye Diggs does it first, so they're presenting her like she's the ultimate prize.
Very true.
And we never knew how he actually felt about her because Morris Chestnut's character automatically just wants her, and he's like, man, she's not gonna go for you, because he knew all the women he was running through. He's like, yeah, she's not gonna want you.
Right.
And she did. And he just, I really feel like he probably was always attracted to her. Never thought she would date Morris Chestnut. And the moment she had a weak point where she was mad at him, he was willing and waiting. So
you made some good points. I just don't know if that. Candace, I'm willing to believe the forehead kiss thing. I'm truly willing. I went out on that limb with him that as a friend, you do the innocent kiss on the forehead kind of thing. Was he attracted to her? Yeah, I agree with you on that. But I keep saying we're just men. Tasha's my very best friend. That's my very best friend on the face of this earth. She can't sleep in the same bed with me. I'm gonna try to get me some pussy. Plain and simple.
He would get stabbed.
And I love her. I love her, but because I'm just a man. I find her attractive enough that you're damn right. So I'm not gonna put myself in that position with her. But it's not conscious, you know. I got one last question before I move to the last one. And this, you ain't got to go into no detail, but I want to ask a question. Would you want to know if your man had slept with your best friend?
Hell yeah.
You would want to know.
Hell yeah. Yes, I want to know. I don't want to be the dummy in the room. I don't want to be where you two have an exclusive joke.
Hold on.
And now y'all both laughing at me because
No. You said that some secrets could be taken from the grave. What if
Not that one. Not that one. Not my best friend. No, not my best friend. Absolutely not. I need to know that.
Yeah, I want to know too, and details.
Interesting. Again, Candace, clean sweep. You want to know?
Yes, I want to know.
Interesting.
You don't want to know?
Not now. When I was younger, yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm giving you maybe it's a man thing. And I decided to tell my girlfriend at where I'm at now, it's not necessary. Mm-hmm. At this stage of my life, let's say if I met somebody and it got serious and she had at one point in time my nephew that he put them legs behind her ears. It's not important for her to tell me. If they choose to keep it secret, that's fine. I don't need to know.
No, that I need to know who slept with who. If I, it's one thing. No. Our first starting out and first dating, I would still, if I walked into a room or walked into somebody's family reunion, I'd be like, oh, just so you know, I phone said, just so you know, I got your uncle. I got him. I did that. I would let him know because I think it's only fair.
Wow.
I think it's only fair. Like, I don't know if the uncle is going to be the one to go and tell him. Some people are like that. And I don't want it to make it seem like I'm trying to hide something. So
I ain't telling nothing.
Yeah.
I ain't telling nothing. But I walk into that same wedding and she's about to get married. Inside, I know what the groom is about to get. I'm a pretty happy man. I'm gonna watch the ceremony. I'm not telling nothing. And I'm denying you're gonna have to catch me on camera. I don't know what you're talking about. So that's just me. That's just me. All right, let's move on to the Black Panther. iconic Marvel movie. Uh, at one point, it was the highest grossing Marvel movie of all time. It's been surpassed. The Avengers Endgame came back and beat it, but at that moment, it was the highest grossing movie. But the key to this is that it uplifted literally the whole black culture. I mean, around the entire country, you have people dressing up, going to see this movie in droves. They were dressing up. Wakanda, the fictional country of Wakanda, is still talked about. You know, before Chadwick Boseman died, he got sick of the fact that whenever he ran into people, they threw up the signal and they recognized him as the king of Wakanda. Now, without going into the plot, it's a Marvel movie and he's a character and blah, 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 blah. What I want to talk about is we all in Black and African American culture, we call ourselves, we hear it all the time, Black kings and Black queens. You know, we're original people. Do you think we're living up? This movie done so much to our culture. Where we are now, do you think we're living up to that moniker of kings and queens and how we carry ourselves and how we treat each other? Anybody?
I think some of us are, but we still have a long ways to go. So that's I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. That's my opinion on that.
I love that answer. I love that answer. Sherry, what you say?
I think some of us are and some of us not, because the ones that's not, ain't no way you could be trying to call yourself no queen. What I be seeing on TikTok and them shaking, letting little girls showing them how to be shaking around and carrying on like that is disgusting. No, that's not gonna make them a queen.
Another good short answer. Tasha, what you got to say?
I'll say this, and I've said it from the beginning. The whole kings and queens thing, every man is not a king and every woman is not a queen. You can think that you descended from greatness, but otherwise, you yourself and how you live is not great. So, even in that title, I think to me it's pandering a lot of times, and I don't like it. I'm just gonna flat out say I don't like it, because it's not in. It is in the way that you carry yourself. It is what you do. And it is a title that is given to people who haven't earned it. That's the whole thing. It's where it should be more than just a movement, a title, a catchy phrase or whatever. It is more than that. It is a way of life, and it is not being exhibited.
Very well said. Kennard, we're talking about Black Panther.
I know you are.
Okay, did you hear? So what do you think? Do you think that we as a people are living up to that moniker of kings and queens today?
I really think this exposes a lot about where there's a lot of imbalance with the Black community, to be fair. I think it's a situation where I don't think Black folks are willing to recognize the fact that we have classism within our community, that everybody ain't gonna fit the bill. You can't bring everybody with you. Everybody's not going to be the Black Panther. Everybody's not going to be the educated brother. But the problem that we have overall is not movies like Black Panther. The problem we have is the glorification of unrealistic things that every Black person can't attain, and at the same time, is stuff that we don't need to attain. Do you know that there are people who are still trying to do crazy stuff that they could have done when they were younger? I'm not knocking nobody that does, but there's so many different areas of success that are not acknowledged in the Black community. For one, the manager at the Home Depot, that's a Black guy. He's going to be considered a lame versus a rapper who's out here talking about a bunch of bullshit that's damaging the community. That's what they see sometimes as the alpha male or the alpha female in the community. I think the Black Panther was great. I think in any situation when Black people can have some level of self-respect and some level of something that they can see, that they can look at and have a sense of empowerment. The problem is the day-to-day. You still got the Pookies and the Ray Rays that still got 7 kids. You still got the N-words with no impunity that would drive by a fucking barbershop and shoot it up And the first shot, I can show y'all the video. That's the stuff that we're rapping about. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
How many different times do I have to see "Rest in Peace, Lil Mook" on a goddamn t-shirt? I'm tired
Brother,
of seeing it.
brother, hey, that is the hot take of the show for me, right there, because that's, you said it in such a brilliant way. What we glorify, and Tosh and I, we talk about this all the time. What we celebrate and glorify, we're a long way from kings and queens.
No,
Tosh
but
and
also I will say this: what a lot of people don't get is all communities do this. All communities do this. All communities have a level of classism.
True.
If you don't think that, let's just use the white community for example.
Okay.
The white community has their elitists, they have their trailer park.
True.
But with black folks, we feel like we got to bring everybody to the party.
So let me stop you there for a second. And that's true. And we could go real deep on this. But where I hold my own people a little bit more accountable is we have multiple issues where you're right. Other groups have levels of hierarchy and and elitism, but we celebrate mediocrity. And and let me finish. And that is where, to me, we get in the most trouble. You said it a moment ago, that the guy that's a manager at Taco Bell, he's not celebrated. A title is attached to him as a lame or something like that. Because if you aren't chasing the bag as a rapper, as a baller, as a social media influencer, then some kind of way, what you're doing is lame. If you're getting up every day doing a 9 to 5, you're whatever these titles they call, and so that's not celebrated. And so we're raising a generation. Now here's where we're special. We're raising a generation of young people that not only celebrates mediocrity, they're not even being taught to aspire to true greatness, because we will celebrate somebody getting out of prison and not somebody getting a degree.
Oh my goodness, oh God.
You see what I'm saying? But then turn around and the news is full of stories. Now we know the news is slanted and all that stuff, but what I hate about it though is we'll turn around when Ray Ray and Pookie does get shot down. He was just about to get his life together. He had plans to do this and that. We got to get beyond. That's what, so I'm not going to get too deep into this because I don't want to get too deep. But that's why I chose this. I want to highlight about the kings and queens. Let me just say it this way without going any deeper than that. You guys said it already. We're a long way from living up to what true kings and queens are. We need more leaders. And when I say leaders, I'm not talking about looking for the next Malcolm X necessarily. That's political. That's political. I'm not talking about looking for the next Reverend Jesse Jackson. That's religious. When I say leaders, I'm talking about leaders on a microscopic level, leaders in our home, leaders in our family, and that could be an uncle, that could be an aunt, that could be a close family friend. We need more leaders setting the right example. Go ahead, Candace. I'll let you have the last word.
I do want to add to that. I just feel like I agree with my husband somewhat, but then I don't agree. Mediocrity is celebrated though, because a lot of times we're not afforded the things that other races are afforded. And so it's a struggle to get to places from our end. Not to say that we have an excuse to celebrate it, but when you're not used to having a lot, of course, the little things that you can obtain and get, you're going to celebrate or you're going to be excited about. And so that's my only idea about that. And I don't lump us in with what other races are, because other races haven't gone through what we've gone through.
I got you. Fair point. I don't agree with it, but it's a fair point, because my thing is, I think we're past that point where we can keep talking about what we don't have. If we got money to spend $100,000 on gold chains, and we're a minority, but we spend more disposable cash on useless shit than any other race on the planet. I think we're not using our funds in the right way, but that's another conversation. I'll say that. But your point is valid. I'm not invalidating that. Let's get to. We got two more. Let's get to Moonlighting. Have you guys seen this movie?
Yes.
Okay. Moonlight.
Tasha.
It won the Academy Award. My boy Mahershala Ali was in this. Great actor. The young boy from Chirac, from the not Chirac, from the Shy. He's one of the lead characters in this in the Showtime drama The Shy. He's the little boy Sharon. Long story short, if you hadn't seen the movie, Sharon lives in a broken home. His mom is a drug addict. Dad's not around. And I mean, he just is in the worst possible situation you can imagine. She's addicted to crack, and he's trying to just live a normal life as a kid. He's very shy, picked upon, bullied, all these things. And he's just an awkward kid. And he has his first sexual experience with a guy, a friend, a guy that he met his friendship attached. They had a sexual experience, and the guy quite naturally doesn't want that known out. They beat him up for it, and he gets in trouble, and he gets sent away. And let's fast forward, whatever it is, 10, 12 years later, Sharon went from this shy, brittle, small kid to now, as an adult, he is that drug dealer. Buffed himself up, remade himself. He's the drug dealer now, and he's hard as can be. But the story is, after all those many years, he's still, his greatest love, his real love, I should say, is still to the guy that had touched him all those years earlier. And it's the journey that he makes back, and they reconnect of this guy that he loved him. Let's just keep it real. And they reconnect, and the guy's now working in a restaurant, and they have this conversation, and then he ends up telling him, "You're the only man that ever touched me." So you got this buff guy. Now, my question is, and we don't have enough time to really answer this, as you see on the screen, homosexuality. You think it's something that's born inside? You think Sharon was born to be be a homosexual, have those tendencies, or did he make a choice based on his circumstances? What do you guys think?
I don't think he was born. I think he made a choice. He always stuck with that choice because his circumstances, maybe that's the only person that made him feel loved.
Okay.
It could be a lot of things going on, you know?
Okay. So I'm gonna play devil's advocate real quick. So he made a choice. You're saying, what happened to him in circumstances, but in all the subsequent years after that, do you think there was a reason why he never then connected to a woman? Now you see him all these years later. He's handsome, by standards, and attractive, physically fit. He's running the show. He's the man. All this time he never found a girlfriend, a woman. Do you think maybe somewhere deep down that he was born gay? That's what it is, sis.
No, I personally don't think anyone is born gay. I just think that it was, something that happened. He was shown a level of love from another man. He enjoyed it. It stuck with him, and I think he probably didn't. He wasn't really interested, even though he became this drug dealer, and he probably could have had a whole lot of different women, but he wasn't interested in women.
That's kind of maybe leaning to the fact that maybe he's born gay if he wasn't interested in women. Go ahead.
Because it's so complex and so loaded as well. But right. I am going to disagree with Sherry. So I do think some people are born that way. But then I think others, because of things that have happened in their life, they choose to be that way. But I've always, even though this movie, I've only seen it one time and I didn't want to watch it. No offense to that type of lifestyle, but I don't like looking at it.
Hold on. Why? What is it? You say you don't like looking at it. Why? What is it? What is it about this movie, then? It won an Academy Award, so it's a great. What is it about this movie?
Who's over the Academy? White people.
I'm just saying. Okay, but why for you is you're like, okay, I can only watch this one.
I just don't like it. But I'll say this: the reason why I say that it's born that way, I just can't see people choosing to be like, being gay is very hard. Like, you deal with a lot of discrimination, you deal with a lot of people wanting to kill you. So why would you choose to go into that lifestyle knowing that a lot of times it's a battle you want to be normal? You want to go against the norm because heterosexuality is supposed to be the norm. It's the American dream and all of that. So that's why I say that a lot of times if you're born with it, it's no fighting it. But yeah, more power to them. I don't like that lifestyle. No offense. But yeah, the movie is not for me.
Okay. Tasha, what you say?
Looking for love in all the wrong places. I think because of his childhood, because of growing up, because that relationship with his mother was not established in those very, very critical formative years, it made him scarred him on it because he never knew love from a woman. His first real, true understanding of love came from a man. So I think for me, and this is just in general, I think it is a choice. Nothing wrong with your choice. I'm not saying anybody's wrong or right here. It's your choice. I don't believe anyone is born that way. I think that based on the things that they see, the influence of others around them, social media, whatever it is, their environment, I think that's what causes people to choose. And I'll say this, from the people that I have spoken with and I've had friendships with and, different things like that, they have told me that I'm just doing this for right now. I plan on having a family and everything whenever I get older. This is just for right now. So I think it's just really just environmental. I think is what it is.
I would be so afraid to marry a person like that. And that's why I say it's so complex because since I'm not gay, I can't even speak for it as to why that they do it.
Right.
But yeah,
it's definitely complex. It's a really complex thing. But Tasha, I've been in that same boat where I've had actual gay men say that I know this is not right. This is what I'm choosing to do. I've literally been told that, and I've had some gay guys work with me. I've had gay friends and whatnot. I get gay friends now, and that is some of the stuff. I mean, so for that reason, I do believe it's a choice too. Now, I'm gonna add this last part to it. I think that choice, though, has not only become much easier, I think it's now encouraged. I think for the first time in history, we're living in a time where it's actually encouraged. And so, to your point, Candace, I think there was a time when you could question that why would somebody choose to do this? But I think we live in a time now where it's actually encouraged. I think the roles have reversed. I've been talking about this for a year and a half, where I think the roles have reversed for men and women, where we used to be the ones chasing. Now we're no longer the hunter. I think when it comes to gay and straight, number one, I will say when I say it's so complex, I actually don't think there's really a such thing as gay and straight anymore. That's number one. But if we're going to use those terms, I think for the first time in human history, I think being heterosexual, identifying as heterosexual, I think now is not the norm. I think we're the ones in many ways that's looked at as we're the Betamax. While people are streaming, they're looking at you like you still playing movies on Betamax. I think for the first time we're looked at as, so you mean to tell me that you only want to have sex with with the opposite sex? Oh, you're behind. What's wrong with you?
I agree because not to cut you off. When I started dating Kennard, he was like, "You never been with a woman before?" I was like, "No." So because I was like the first woman he dated that had never been with women.
And that's why I say, so you're right. We're not judging. I just wanted to bring that up. It's an interesting topic, and so yeah, that's one maybe discovering down the road. Last movie, guys, Soul Food, star power, and this one was fantastic as well. Vanessa Williams. What's that girl that was in love with 50 Cent? Vanessa.
Vivica Fox.
Vivica Fox. Yeah, why I want to call her Vanessa. Uh, a very good acting. And again, this is the quintessential, probably one of the black family movies out there. And again, we know the story. They're all there's these sisters. Some of them are married. Some of them not. Neil Long was in this one as well. You know what I'm saying? Mekhi Phifer was in this joint. And again, there's the matriarch of the family. She has diabetes. They care for their mother. She obviously dies, and then there's the dynamics within this family of who is responsible to do what. Big Mama, as she's called, has a house. There's a rumor that money is being hidden in the house. There's an uncle that doesn't come. There's a lot of little dynamics here, and where soul food comes into play is Big Mama had a tradition that every Sunday she cooked this massive meal. And if you come from a black family, especially in the South, you'd recognize that when you look at that spread, mashed potatoes, collard greens, you name it, they did it. And it's around the table of that kind of food is where families come together and things get better. But in this movie, the underlying things are about the dynamic of the different roles within the family and who's responsible and who's accountable. So what do you guys think about this? What you take away from that movie on that?
So I'll go. Nicole Ari Parker's the oldest sister. It was like they depended on her for the financial stability of the family. Then you have Vivica Fox. She was that middle sister. She seemed like the fighter. Like she's willing to throw down and fight whoever. And then Nia Long was the baby. So responsibility wise, to me, it was a good movie. They all played their little roles. When their mom died, they did have to come together and really figure out the family dynamic then, especially with Nicole Ari Parker's husband sleeping with Cousin Faith. Like I cannot stand Cousin Faith. I see memes now, and every time I see a Cousin Faith in my real life, it triggers me just because of this movie. So
okay,
but
I actually forgot about that part. But actually, she was sleeping with Vanessa Williams' husband, Vanessa Williams.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of the show, but yeah, Vanessa Williams' husband.
Yeah,
with the other sister.
Okay. So Sherry, what do you think about this and how it relates to families and responsibilities and accountability?
Well, what I liked about it is that, first of all, they had a Big Mama. And a lot of families now need that in their life. Somebody to, bring together the family structure. And it's like all the different daughters was their families, they were showing different, situations that they had going on. But at the end of the day, they all came back on Sunday to their, Big Mama's house or whatever to talk about it pretty much and get things together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. To me, it's like it teaches that kids love structure in their life, because a lot of people think, kids be like, oh no, but kids like that. It keeps them in line. I don't know.
Good point. We ain't got too much time. What do you have to say on soul food, Kennard?
Can't hear you.
We can't hear.
Now that I'm adult and I'm looking at this movie, I think all of it is a very actual depiction of what happens in the black community. Here's what I don't like though. Every black, and I'm not trying to push the black male agenda here, or none of that. But my goodness, every black male in this movie was weak.
Mm.
Very good point.
Was
Very good point.
either they were with Neil Long's character's husband. He was in and out of jail.
Correct.
Got the other one that was basically, kind of sort of weak. He wasn't terrible, but he was weak too.
I know you're talking about.
Yeah, and then you got
You had a cheater.
yeah, you got
In and out of jail, and then
yeah,
Kenny,
yeah,
was
and you
torn
got
between two.
yeah, you got Vanessa Williams' husband who is still not don't
Self,
have the power,
selfish,
which is
cheater.
why he did the shit he did. So I love the movie though. Now the little boy got on my goddamn nerves. After a while, I got tired.
Wow. Wow.
I
I
just
love
got
it.
tired. I got tired of him with all the he shouldn't have even been. They should have had a different narrator. Like they shouldn't have had this little boy that didn't know what the hell he was talking about as the narrator. But I love the movie though. But that little kid got on my nerves. But but I just didn't like the fact that this was the beginning of weakening the black male character in some.
Woo. Woo.
Purple was the beginning.
Oh yeah, the
Woo.
color purple too.
Purple was the beginning.
Woo.
The color purple. Every dude in the black, and the only dude that was cool in color purple was Swain, Harpo's friend. He's the only one.
I got you. Good points.
I'm done, man. I had to get on this one though.
No, good points. Very good point.
All the bros were weak on that one.
Very good point.
All right.
Tasha, what you say?
Yeah, the family dynamics and the accountability in this one, I think is very interesting. For families, you sometimes have that one person that may be the black sheep that's seen as the asshole, the whatever, but they're the ones that the family looks to for strength, for level-headedness and things like that. Also, with the whole thing with the cousin Faith, it tells me that you can't help you as much as you want to. You can't be responsible for everyone in the family. You can't help everybody, and you can't take on their problems for you and everything. Now, to Kennard's point about the little boy, I think he did inject himself into grown folks' business when it really had nothing to do with him, But then again, he was the golden boy, the chosen one, so to speak. But I mean, this is so interesting. We could get deeper into soul food because it has so many different
It really
levels
does.
there of the relationships and everything. So
It really does. I'll close out by just saying I like the little boy's role. I liked his narration. I liked the fact that it showed that even though he was young, he had a strong, unbreakable bond with Big Mama.
mhm.
So on the very top end of it, the matriarch of the family, she saw a strength in him. And what I like about that dynamic, again, talking family dynamics, is the lesson for me is that we've lost a lot of respect for what our elders bring to the table. And I wish more grandkids would be exposed to that wisdom, because those bonds, in a lot of ways, for me in the movie, he was keeping her young. You know what I'm saying? She chose to, on her deathbed, chose to reveal as close as great a mom as she was. She didn't tell her daughters. She chose to tell this kid, her dying wishes on what she wanted. And as he revealed, Big Mama put the responsibility on me to get the family together, because she could, in her wisdom, see that her death was going to bring a lot of discord. So sometimes in families, especially bigger families, I come from a bigger family, there is that one person sometimes that pulls things together, that can bring some calmness out of chaos. Sherry and I know this all too well, because in those big families, it's made up of all these different personalities. You have ones who got a little bit more than the other, and they think they more than the others. You have some who they don't have as much, but they want to be taken care of. They always got their hand out. You got ones who made decisions in their life and they're angry because they wish they had made a different decision in their life. So families have all these dynamics. And for me, the idea that food could bring you together, well, We don't make meals like that anymore, and it's a shame because we in social media, technology, pandemic, you know, it separated us as families in such a way that we've lost out as families now of being able to sit together because the dinner table used to be the place where families came together. If nothing else for any part of the day, that was the one place where you got to commune all in one place. And I don't know about you guys, there was a time when there was no phones at the table, there was no
Mhm.
video games at the table, that you actually had to freaking talk to each other and find out what was going. That was the moment to check in with each other. And so for me, we've lost something. And I don't think we'll ever get back to a point where we're doing that. But I would like to encourage families. My final thought on this is I would like to encourage family, even with the pandemic coming, I want to go back to a time where you invite family over. You invite friends who are like family over, and you do put down the devices and talk things. We need to get back to where we know each other. Now you can't fix each person, like you said, Tasha. Everybody don't need to be at the table either. But I would like to see us get back to a place where symbolically the kitchen table. I don't even own a kitchen table, but I actually am getting ready to move in a couple of weeks. I'm going to make a conscious effort that the people I have in my home, I'm going to surround myself with good people that when you come visit me, it's not for us to social media. It's not for us to put it on Twitter. We won't be posting what I'm serving for dinner, what I'm drinking. I want to get back to a place where you remember the time when you played some music in the background and you laughed with each other and you talked with each other. And if somebody had a problem, you worked it out. I want to get back to that place because when I see that movie, it made me feel something inside. When you hear that song, Mama, it made me, I miss something. We've lost something that I want to get a little bit of that back. So that's for me why I want to end on that note. We went a little bit over, folks, but hey, I thought we did a fantastic job. We pulled the curtain back on some of the greatest movies. I thought it was fun. I thought we had a great time doing it. I appreciate the viewers popping in. And again, thank you guys as always for spending a little bit of your Sunday with me. I know it's after 8 o'clock now. The Sunday scaries, I talked about this at the beginning of the show, are kicking in. For you parents, you got to start thinking about school tomorrow, going to work. For some of us who are single, all the things we got to combat and deal with as well, you know, getting our week. So, look, I hope these couple of hours gave you a little bit of a break to have some fun, to put that on the back burner. Everybody, I love you. I appreciate you as viewers. Once again, find us on our social media platforms. You can find Candace on YouTube with the Candy Shop. Please reach out, support. She needs your support the same way I need your support. For us to keep bringing you this kind of content, you have to support one another. We got to do better in that regard. You can find me on YouTube as well. And I'm also a part of the TFG Media Group. So, everybody, I hope your week gets off to a great start. Thank you for being with me on this Sunday. Love you. Peace.
Peace.